What's not news about the new Harry Potter series is a scandal. There are many reasons for the fans' indignation. For example, that Cillian Murphy is supposedly not being considered for the role of Voldemort, but only for the role of Professor Quirrell. But that's nothing, because there are still announcements that Hermione could be played by a 40-year-old Asian man, and Ron Weasley by a pregnant girl from Kenya. Or maybe you will? There are signs that HBO, responding to the anger of fans, has radically revised the concept of the series. Black Snape was rejected, and the entire cast will supposedly be assembled based on the descriptions from the books. But is this true? Make yourself comfortable, friends. In the next few minutes, we will tell you about both the latest scandal in the world of Harry Potter and about good news. Let's start with them. After all, on January 21st, 2025, HBO officially confirmed Francesca Gardner as the showrunner of the project, and Mark Mylod as her partner, executive producer and director. This duo seems promising because Gardner has exactly 0 projects with a rating below 7.7. Her series Descendants is generally considered one of the best in decades, so Gardner is a real pro. As is Mark Mylod, who in addition to the same Descendants, has Shameless on his resume, and as a director has generally directed many episodes of Game of Thrones. In general, the duo of Harry Potter creators knows very well what a large number of characters and tight plot lines are. And Francesca Gardner has already said that she will not be a provocateur and will transfer the events of the books to the series as it should be. And yes, the screenwriter who bragged that he did not read the Harry Potter books will apparently no longer be on the team. The good news doesn't end there, as the actor who plays Lucius Malfoy, Jason Isaacs, said that casting for many roles has already been closed. Moreover, according to Isaacs, it has been closed by excellent actors, and he is confident of their success. What is also very interesting is that the actor confirmed that the casting is being done by the same people who did it for the original films, including J.K. Rowling, although there are some nuances. Rowling had the final say in the original films, choosing Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, and Dan Radcliffe. The studio, in turn, preferred Jake Lloyd from Star Wars or Haley Joel Osment from Forrest Gump. Although Radcliffe was not among the 5 contenders, his choice was made possible by his contract with Rowling. We will never know how history might have turned out if the studio had done the casting, but there will be an opportunity to check, because now everything is the other way around. According to HBO boss Casey Bloys, now Rowling only has a say in choosing actors, and the final choice is up to the studio. And this seems like dubious news, but on the other hand, a lot of time has passed, and it is Rowling who is the author of the legendary Black Hermione in the theater production, and the scripts for Fantastic Beasts. By the way, Rowling also chose the scriptwriters for the series, but it is not yet clear whether this is good or bad. Let's talk about the facts. And they are that we know the actress who will play Aunt Petunia. This is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, known for her roles in the series Killing Eve and in the film about Han Solo. The actress looks, to be honest, as if she came from the pages of books. This is the second piece of news because insiders say that after the extremely negative feedback that was caused by rumors about a black Snape and the announcement of the main trio, HBO seems to have decided to strictly follow the descriptions from the books, which is interesting because the original films did not always follow them. For example, almost all the characters in them are older than they should be. Snape, for example, is 31 at the beginning of the events of the first book, and Voldemort killed him at 38, while Alan Rickman was already 55 by the time The Philosopher's Stone came out. Actually, it was because of him that the misunderstandings began. Rowling was adamant and wanted Rickman to play Snape, but because of his age, literally everyone had to be aged. Lily and James Potter and Sirius and the entire Order of the Phoenix ended up with actors who were almost twice as old as their characters. There was no other way, because it would have been strange to see 55-year-old Snape and his peer 30-year-old Sirius. To give you an idea of the scale of the problems, even Minerva McGonagall had to be aged. In The Philosopher's Stone, she was a little over 50, and in the books, her hair wasn't even completely gray. Maggie Smith was 66 in 2001, and all the actors in the entire wizarding world had to be aged because of the choice of Alan Rickman for the role of Snape. Now imagine the outrage that would arise if Harry Potter were to be adapted for the screen today. Rickman's choice would be smashed to smithereens by fans, who would accuse Rowling of killing the canon. This is a perfect example of how you shouldn't judge casting until the films are out. After all, as time has shown, Rowling was completely right about Snape. But on the other hand, her choice is considered extremely successful even 23 years later. After all, the series doesn't need to reinvent the wheel to be different from the films. It is enough to follow the canon and voila, All the actors will be younger, which will make the series look completely different. And you can't find fault, because it is 100% canon. And Snape in the Philosopher's Stone should be a little over 30. Well, and the actor is 40 at best. Throwing 10 years off an image is not a problem for Hollywood. And here it is enough to remember that in Houchin's 11, Brad Pitt was just under 40, but looked almost 25 years old. In general, insiders unanimously say that actors closer to the book image will be the show's gimmick. But it's not just about age. Here we are approaching a scandalous situation that has divided society into two parts. Because, ideally, if we are guided by the books, Hermione should be an unremarkable gray mouse. But Ginny Weasley, on the contrary, is an extremely attractive girl who has charmed almost the entire male half of Hogwarts, as well as Cho Chang. After all, remember how in the books Ron and Harry didn't pay any attention to Hermione as a girl? No, she wasn't downright ugly, but she was an inconspicuous and expressionless girl, and only in The Goblet of Fire, Hermione decided to shine in front of all of Hogwarts, after which she returned to her canonical image. While Harry in the books was always falling for the popular school beauties, one of whom was Ginny, who in the movies was made a gray mouse. Nothing personal, just the laws of the film business. No one should be prettier than the main character and steal her attention under any circumstances. Of course, we are not talking about the beauty of the actresses, which is of course a subjective question, but about how the costume designers and directors approach the image of the heroines. And so the most beautiful and well-groomed Hermione in Hogwarts was born. And the gray Ginny with Cho Chang. Along with this, a bunch of theories were born from those who had not read the books. Everyone was surprised that Harry did not get along with Hermione, because he objectively had more chances than Ron. The movie thus successfully lost the key detail of Harry Potter's character from the books. Harry fell in love with the school beauties, and in general he was not such an awkward and ridiculous teenager. In the books, Harry is a natural leader, smart, daring, and sometimes a rude bully. While in the film adaptations, even if he behaves impudently, it seems that he does so under pressure and not of his own free will. The same can be said about Ron, which is both a blessing and a curse for the creators of the series. On the one hand, they are dealing with completely different characters, both in terms of appearance and inner world, if we consider the original. But on the other hand, there is only one casting, not very attractive Hermione or a photo from the shooting, where Hermione is a canonical bookworm, and that is the end. Moreover, even if Hermione is again the most well-groomed and attractive, that is also the end. Half of the fans will always be dissatisfied, and finding a balance in this is a practically impossible task. However, as recent events have shown, it is much worse to introduce a dark-skinned Severus Snape into the series, especially since the book really does leave loopholes for black actors. And it is not even about Kingsley, Dean Thomas, Blaise Zabini, and other guys who were initially described as dark-skinned. The issue is, for example, Hagrid, whose skin color is never mentioned in 8 books. This is who HBO might latch onto, even if the studio did have a soft reboot and return to canon. However, after the initial wave of negativity, people are unlikely to forgive them, even Hagrid, so Cillian Murphy seems like a solution. It would be great to cast an initially popular actor in at least one of the leading adult roles. Even Philosopher's Stone director Chris Columbus has already given Murphy the green light to play Voldemort, but recent reports suggest that HBO is eyeing Murphy for the role of Quirrell. There's no point in blaming the studio too much. We don't know all the details, and it's possible that the actor simply isn't particularly interested in committing to a franchise for 10 long years. Murphy is now at the peak of his career and has the rarest privilege in Hollywood to act wherever he wants. With one phone call, he could be hired by Marvel for a huge salary, or included in a tiny art house project to unwind. It's easy to believe that the actor himself doesn't want to play Voldemort for 10 years with a bunch of contractual obligations. So Quirrell would be a great option, especially since the first 2 seasons for the show will be the hardest due to their almost page-by-page adaptation by Chris Columbus. A popular actor would definitely be helpful here, and a good script would also be helpful. Unlike the casting, it is safe to say that the absence of J.K. Rowling is not bad news, because we have seen enough of her fantastic beasts. But Mama Rowling recommended HBO the great options of Mike Mylod and Francesca Gardner. The latter has already stated that her team will only include fans of the universe, and has completely refused all interviews, citing the fact that work comes first and promises come later, and these words give fans hope for good content. Deadline had to gather scraps. talking to Gardner's acquaintances who know something, and the publication dug up that Francesca promised to honor the books as much as possible, including revealing themes from them that the films were afraid to use. Deadline names The Room of Secrets from the film adaptation as a striking example, from which the overt horror vibes that were present in the book were cut. The same applies to other more adult stories that never made it from books to movies. And most importantly, Francesca's closest friend told Deadline that she will definitely not be a provocateur, one of those who change everything in the world by adapting books for the screen. Lauren Hissrich and her failed Witcher for Netflix are a prime example. In the case of Harry Potter, everyone is sure that this will not happen. And Gardner's colleagues unanimously say that she honors the source material and knows how to reveal it in all its details. Well, do we believe in success now? Share your opinion in the comments, and that's all for now. Until next time, friends.